Howdy, I'm going to show you what the new high-res rendering looks like in GSSquared. This is an algorithm that I took from Open Emulator, which is an emulator that's been around for a while. Hasn't gotten a lot of love lately. But from what I could tell, the display rendering was the best of any of the emulators I'd seen. Certainly better than the two kind of most popular ones on Windows and PC. So I spent a huge amount of time researching that algorithm. I learned a lot more about NTSC, all of the analog voodoo, than I ever really intended to. But it was informative. And like so many technologies that had their roots in the 30s and 40s, it's like pure magic. Um, it's just amazing how much they did with so little. And so, and then the way the Apple II sent binary bit streams to an analog television, and it worked to generate stuff like I'm going to show you, is just extraordinary. That's the word. It's extraordinary. Woz was a freaking genius, and he was. I mean, this was really early on, and this stuff was really magical when it came out. Today it's easy today to say, oh, whoop-de-doo, whatever. We've got stuff that's 100 times better. Yeah, but this is magic. All right, so we got Choplifter here. You can see how the nothing's exactly crisp. That's what you would expect on an analog monitor. Things bleed. Actually, this this orange here creates a ripple effect in the green. Right here, you can kind of see that. That's essentially modeling an old analog monitor just can't change the color beams that fast. They're using RC circuits, simple resistor capacitor circuits. It takes time for those capacitors to drain. So anyway, this is Choplifter. This has sort of become the, let me turn that volume down a bit. This has become the de facto test bench for Apple II video emulation. It's got everything you want. It's got the color. Oh, don't you kill my dudes. Okay. It's fast. It's vivid. It's got everything. So you can see here, like when I turn the helicopter's got these really thin lines, and at certain angles they turn funky colors, because a single pixel on the Apple II surrounded by black is a color. That's just how it is. To get white, you have to have two pixels next to each other. Some of you know this, some of you don't, but this is all fallout of how Woz created this stuff. This is just ones and zeros going out to a device that wasn't built for ones and zeros. It's just incredible. Anyway, there's that. Let's see what else we got here. I cheated and created an control open Apple reset for my Apple II mode because I was tired of having to power it off all the time. Let's see. Yeah, let's do Taxman. This is actually a great little representative disk of stuff here because it's got a lot of colorful games on it. We'll take a look at this. Now I've got some switches here. So this is the old rendering. This is the old version of, and then this is the new. This is the old. This is the new. Old, new. Pretend you're at the eye doctor and you're getting the A/B test. Old, new. So my old rendering was actually pretty good, but the new one's better, obviously. And then I've also got this switch, which just lets me draw it with a little bit of fuzz. so each pixel gets fuzzed out a bit, or each pixel is drawn more or less as it is. It's difference between just putting the pixel on there or using a linear interpolation. So you've got a couple of options here. If you like it a little crisper, you can do that. But, okay, so that's Taxman. Let's see what else we got here. Let's boot this one more time. What do we got? What do we got? Taxman, Choplifter. Oh, Apple Panic. Apple Panic is the schnizzle. You know, there's an interesting series of, you can see how games evolve, because Apple Panic was one of the first. But then Apple Panic kind of, the next thing that came out like that was Lode Runner. And it was, you know, you've got platforms, you got to dig holes in the ground, you know, the bad guys fall into the holes, and sometimes they get destroyed. You know, the game's not exactly the same, but this is clearly a precursor to Lode Runner. And it's a good one. And again, you know, the difference between the sort of square pixels and the fuzz pixels, and then the difference between the old rendering and the new rendering. The new rendering actually implements. Uh-oh, can I? If I fall in, oh, it's not going to let me. Yeah. Oh, I'm dead. The new rendering routines implement NTSC by filtering out the wavelengths. So the ones and zeros that the Apple II is spitting out, literally just on the high res lines, are, imagine you're a TV, you're just getting this stuff spit out. The Apple is adding the timing information, the horizontal and the vertical sync stuff. But during the video area, you know, the horizontal scan line output, it's just sending out the ones and zeros as they exist on the in the high res memory. And it's the specific timing and the phase relationship. So if you know much about signals, you know, analog signals, tends to be waves, like sine waves and cosine waves. So the ones and zeros signal is split with three different filters. One to filter out the brightness, and one to filter out the I component, and one to filter out the Q component. Now, I and Q are colors, and it's a different color space than RGB. RGB is just, you know, red, green, blue, and I've got values from like 0 to 255. YIQ, luminance, I and Q are values from -1 to 1. And that's how colors are mapped in that space. So this rendering extracts those values out as, you know, 3 analog signals using frequency filtering, and then it just comes out the way the math works. It just comes out. Sorry, my cat's going to join us here for this video, and that's why I say it's magic, because it's just like, you know, I don't even know how to explain how people figured this out, how Woz figured this out, but he did, and it's freaking amazing. A lot of kids aren't taught this kind of stuff in college anymore, this analog stuff. I was on the edge of it. I didn't like it. I wasn't very good at it. It really hurt my brain over the last month to go through and figure this out. But I'm glad I did. I learned a lot. Okay, so there's all this. But of course now, oops, no. Let's pull out the big guns. What have I got here? what have I got? Oh, that's not what I want. Ample 2 discs. Haha. You all know what that is. Here it comes. Nothing yet. Well, there we go. Load Runner. Now, see, this is a platform game. And it's... After playing Apple Panic, you're going to go, I literally just... What? Why aren't you working? Oh, because I got to do that. Okay, there we go. This, you know, James Bond lens thing here, that was super cool. Uh-oh, I always make that mistake. Okay, there you go. Trapped you are. Yep. See, so this looks pretty good. This was designed really to take advantage of the way the Apple II display worked. You don't see a lot of weird artifacts. They were very careful to not mix the different colors and cause artifacts. And there's not a lot. It's blue and orange primarily, and white. So that's on the, of course, the second half of the Apple II palette. The original Apple II palette, high-res, being green and purple. In fact, the original Apple IIs only had green and purple, and it was a later revision of the Apple II before the II Plus that added this whole idea of setting the high bit in the high-res byte in order to get 2 more colors. Oh, no! This may be the greatest game ever. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to say that a lot as I go through all this old stuff. Like, oh, that's the greatest game ever. Oh, no, this is the greatest game ever. But, you know, these are all the greatest game ever. I tell you, I got to be honest. There's a lot of technologically astounding video games that have come out. In the 40 years, geez Louise, since Load Runner came out. But I've always found that games like this that are straightforward, not technically flashy, but have just great gameplay, a logic to them, and that are really more focused on solving problems and puzzles. That's what I really get into. Your mileage may vary. I am so dead. Okay. Anyway, so this is a tour of the new high-res rendering. I'll be bringing low-res into this, and when I get to the 2E emulation, double high-res and double low-res and all that stuff's going to work the same. It's just the ones and zeros, and then the display is going to render them. So this will be an extremely accurate and effective, I think, display emulation for GSSquared. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like it. If you don't, I can always just turn, like I showed you, you can always just turn the old crappy one back on. Ha ha ha. All right. Have a good night, folks. Bye.